Hello everyone and welcome to the Golden Age Arc Part 4 of the BERSERK manga analysis. Let's waste no time, let's get right into this. So the King of Midland, who as far as I'm aware is never given an actual name, correct me if I'm wrong on that, arrives to introduce them to his younger brother Count Julius. This guy comes right off as a smug son of a bitch who doesn't respect Griffith or anything he stands for. We are also introduced to Princess Charlotte, a shy, petite girl and admittedly very sheltered. As they walk by, she trips on the stairs and Griffith catches her. Julius immediately smacks him for this, for daring to lay a hand on the princess, and the two of them share a look before departing. Princess Charlotte is a character she's just way too innocent for her own good, especially in a series like BERSERK, but we'll get more on her later. We are introduced to yet another member of this kingdom, Minister Foss. During these chapters, we really get a sense of Midland, who the Band of the Hawk will be working for some time. And perhaps just like any other modern-day politics, it is full of corruption and backstabbing. Foss mentions that the Band of the Hawk have been invited on the Autumn Hunt, an event usually reserved for Midland's White Dragon Knights. Fearing Griffith gaining too much status in the kingdom, the two of them plot to strike him with a poisoned arrow during the hunt, and write it off as just an accident. Guts has a brief moment where he reflects on his youth and declares to himself that he doesn't know what he's searching for in this life, but as of this moment he will undoubtedly wield his sword for Griffith. And why not? The band likes him, he gets to fight often, and him and Griffith had developed a brotherly-like bond. Or so this is how Guts currently sees it. At this big famous hunt, which is little more than everyone on horseback unfairly chasing down foxes, Casca's eyes wandered to, well, Princess Charlotte, who is there as well, and Griffith is coming close to her. She is squeamish to the bloodshed, and so he comforts and distracts her, and Casca's look here is just priceless. A boar jumps out and frightens Charlotte's horse. It runs off, and then Griffith chases after her to rescue her. He manages to do so, and she's of course flustered and flattered, but right then the arrow strikes Griffith's chest. Not to worry though, as the arrow was blocked by the bayonet Griffith wears around his neck. More good luck from this charm, I see. The Band of the Hawk members all rally and try to figure out who did this, where the arrow came from, but silently, to himself, Griffith spots Count Julius. What's great about this is it would not be Griffith's style to go after him right then and there, or to stir up anger and confusion in front of everybody. No, he simply makes note of who his enemy is, and plots a specific way to handle it. And that way is to secretly ask Guts to perform an assassination. One where he can't get caught, and no suspicion can come their way. It's dirty work, but Guts accepts. While on his way to assassinate Julius, Guts sees Julius training his son, Adonis. Quite brutally, in fact, and in no doubt puts Guts into a place where he remembers his own childhood. Julius notices him at the last second, but it's of no avail. Guts kills him instantly without any effort whatsoever. But then a door opens up. So instinctively Guts attacks, knowing he can't be seen or identified. However, only after stabbing does Guts realize it was in fact the child, Adonis. And it was at that moment that Guts realized he fucked up. It all goes to hell at this point. Guts' trauma rises as he holds the boy in his hand as he dies, and then numerous guards hear the noise and rush out. And Guts has no choice but to kill every single one of them to avoid being caught. He practically does manage to kill all of them until he narrowly makes an escape into a sewer. Bleeding, stressed, and out of breath, he has visions of both Gambino and Zod. A combination of a reflection of his own abusive childhood and just the fear of seeing what Zod was. The Band of the Hawk is enjoying drinks and food together in a tavern, and Guts walks in covered with blood, covered with wounds, looking for Griffith. Griffith, who is apparently at some dinner party with the princess. Guts goes there, and at the bottom of a long staircase, he looks up to see Griffith dressed up very well, clean, calm, looking like royalty, and with the princess. And here's Guts, bloody and dirty from an even dirtier mission for the man who stands above him, innocent in this affair. Casca arrives on the scene as well. With Guts, they both look up to hear Griffith's conversation with Princess Charlotte. And this, I believe, is one of the most pivotal and important scenes in all of BERSERK. It begins with Griffith talking about how men should envision a dream, something beyond themselves to drive them and motivate them to go farther. Also mentioning how he detests someone who could just be born to live for no other reason, just to live. Inadvertently, he is describing Guts here. Guts has no ultimate dream, no purpose. He's been fighting to survive just for the sake of it, And now, hearing this from Griffith's own mouth, after considering the two of them friends, it reaches inside Guts and destroys something in him. Not only that, but for the realization of what Guts just did for Griffith, and what he had to experience just now was all done as someone ordering another with no true camaraderie. Griffith goes on to explain that he views his Hawk members as troops, and for one to truly be considered his friend, they must have a reason for living that they are dedicated to. In other words, they must be his equal. We then get this symbolic image of the distance between Guts and Griffith. How Guts once thought they were on the same level is now destroyed as he sees how much higher Griffith actually is.
For me to call a man my friend, he must be equal to me in all respects.
The conversation is interrupted by the news of Julius's death, and Griffith smirks to no one but himself, aware that his vision comes more and more to life, and he doesn't even need to lift a finger. The next day, the band of the Hawk is soon to be set out on another battle for Midland. Minister Foss, the one responsible for the whole poison arrow plot to begin with, stops Griffith in the hallway and tries to gauge if he suspects him. This is a nice little interaction back and forth. Foss, thinking he's the great mastermind, and by all means he probably is in his own right, trying to match wits with Griffith, who is way above his level in every aspect. It ends with Griffith giving him a death-like stare, perhaps indicating that not only is he aware of Foss's involvement, but perhaps there is a whole other plan above Foss's head. And next we have Princess Charlotte, and she wants to see Griffith off and gives him a little magnet that goes along with one that she has. One is a man and one is a woman, and they should separate. It means that they should one day be brought back together again. Aw, isn't she just the cutest, naive, innocent, and unaware, but just so cute? It's almost a shock that anyone this pure could have a place in this story. She also mentions that the trinket is from her biological mother, who passed on, and is not the current Queen of Midland. The current queen is a snooty, bitchy woman, complaining to Charlotte to not give such gifts to someone of common birth. We also get the info that Charlotte is 16, which I guess in those times wouldn't be considered terribly young, but still worth mentioning. The Hawks head to the battlefield, and around here is what I like to consider the romantic portion of Berserk. Right after a bunch of people clash into each other with weapons. And here we have Casca, who seems to be having more trouble than usual. She comes up against a fat bastard named Adon, who is the head of the Blue Whale Ultra Heavy Armored Fierce Assault Annihilation Night Corps. Yeah, this guy has an extremely long name for everything, and every technique he has was handed down from generation to generation. He immediately insults Casca for being a woman, and is generally just a pain in the ass. We are definitely supposed to hate this guy, but man, do I really hate this guy. He's the medieval equivalent of a middle-aged woman arguing about a coupon. Feels extremely entitled to everything, and boasts a big game. He also way outstays his welcome in this series, so just getting to his introduction makes me groan. Casca should be able to take out this guy no problem, but something is wrong. Guts comes to her aid and smashes Aiden down. All he wants to do is fight and ignore the thoughts of Griffith's words from the previous night. But then Casca begins to pass out near the edge of a cliff. Guts reaches out, but both of them wind up falling off and into the river. As the rain begins, they're washed up in a forest, and Guts manages to find a cave. He tries to put it off for as long as he can, but he knows if he doesn't take Casca's wet clothes off that she'll freeze. So he does and notices that she is, well, on her period. This is what was causing her not to be able to fight at full strength. I really like that they included this. Not only does it help the world and situation feel really real, but it goes into showing how much harder Casca has to work in this situation. She is the only female member of the Hawks, and the best fighter behind Griffith and Guts. To keep up with all of these men and constantly have to be tough in times like these really gathers a lot of respect for her character. Guts himself even comments that it must be rough being a woman. Though she isn't too grateful upon waking up, attacking Guts immediately, obviously embarrassed that she had to be saved. Not only that she had to be saved, but by someone she doesn't even like. Casca has tried so hard to prove herself, not just as a soldier, but in the eyes of Griffith. It is his affection she wants. She wants to be important to him. And face it, she loves him. And that's where we're going to pause for now, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. The next video we'll get into more of the backstory that Casca will tell of herself and Griffith, and Guts will fight 100 men. So thanks a lot for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Share it with your Berserk loving friends, and I'll see you in the next video.